Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of the Untitled FWA Podcast. This is TGO, and I am happy to be joined by a new member of the FWA. We've been doing a lot of older e-fetting people on WrestlingClique, and now we have kind of a newer one, but he's not a new member for the forum in general. He's just a new member of the e-fetting community, and that's BattleTank. So BT, what's up, man? Thank you for doing this on a late Tuesday night.
Hey, thanks for having me on, brother. Appreciate it.
So let's go into the Chris Crowe character, because you are the handler of Chris Crowe, the Showman Chris Crowe, and we're taping this like a day after the Meltdown episode 6 results, and I imagine you've read those by now.
Oh yeah.
And the kind of the ending with the North American Championship match with Captain Fantasy, and then the announcement that you'll be getting a second title shot in a triple threat match. First off, let's before we go into Chris Crowe and Crazy Harry, because those characters do deserve a lot of time, but let's talk about you personally. Where do you live? What do you do for a living? What are your hobbies outside of the forum? Just kind of who are you? Who is BattleTank?
Well, my real name is Chris. Surprising, with the Chris Crowe.
Right.
29 years old, high school football coach. Other than that, I live a pretty boring life. I like to gamble, hang out with my niece and nephew. Simple shit like that. I'm not a crazy drinker or anything of that nature. So I really spend a lot of my free time outside of football, hanging out on WrestlingClique.
You said gambling? Is it what type? Is it poker? Is it Texas?
Oh, anything,
Texas,
man.
Anything? Okay.
Poker, slots, football. Not football right now. I actually deleted my DraftKings app because I took a bath. But
right.
Yeah, poker, slots. I play cards with friends sometimes too.
Okay. High school football coach. So is this your alma mater?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the same school I started 3 years at quarterback for.
Okay.
From 07 to 09. Now I'm back there coaching.
Are you the head coach, or are you like a positional coordinator?
Wide receivers coach. I played for the same coach that's there now, so it's pretty cool. I'm on his coaching staff, and actually it's comprised of all ex-players, so it's a pretty cool environment. Small town, small school, but it's one of those schools where the town closes down on Friday night, packed house, and when we're good, crowd gets bigger and bigger each week, like this year. So
yeah, how are y'all doing this year?
We're 5-1 right now.
Okay.
Set up pretty nicely for the playoffs. We got 2 really hard games coming up, but I always say as we get closer to the playoffs, for as good as I think we are, maybe I'll share the live feed link with everybody in the Discord one Friday night. So, if you're bored and got nothing better to do, put on some football.
Is your hope to like continue on in this path and like be a head coach and then go beyond high school into college?
Well, I would love to coach in college. I actually was a graduate assistant in college, so I have some experience there. But high school's fun, man. Small school, not a lot of kids, so you get to know all the kids, personally. Try to impact their lives for the better. And
so you joined WrestlingClique in June of 2016. What led you to the forum?
Originally, well, the backstory, I followed Wolf Beast and Zoomies and Stogie, their BTBs, for about 10 years, easily 10 years. And I was, I'm a quiet, shy type. So I never really thought about, posting my own stuff. And I always had, something written down here and there, jotted in a notebook. And I actually joined up, I think it was Pro Wrestling Discussion Forum. I don't know how the hell I found it.
Right.
And somehow that led me to WrestlingClique. I had known about WrestlingClique. I followed it a little bit, but I kept getting, you probably still get it if you don't log in. You can't view this page unless you remember all that shit. So one day I decided, fuck it, I'm going to sign up, see what happens.
I got you. The day you joined, which was, again, June 2016, you started a WCW 2000 Beat the Booker, BTB. 2 years later, you started like a 1991 WWF era BTB. That one is like 20 pages deep. I don't really know. I don't know how long into like the canon or the kayfabe time period you went with that one. You definitely went a few months, maybe even a few years. I don't know. You would know.
It was years. I started in January of '91. I tried to, so backstory.
Yeah, I was gonna ask why 91 WWF?
Oh, I love the new generation. Even as a kid growing up, in that time period. I mean, shit, I was only 3 or 4 really at the height of it, but I had an older brother. He had all the Hasbros, and I always remember going to the video store down the street and renting Royal Rumble '94, and made sure you had to rewind it before you brought it back. It was on a VHS tape, and I've always been fascinated with that time period.
So you've done some posting activity in the sports section around NFL picks and whatnot, but I imagine BTB was your only interest, or was your initial interest in the forum?
It was BTB.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, we're talking like 04, 05. When I figured out how to work a computer, I joined an eFed.
Okay.
But it was real guys. It wasn't, the makeup, make your own guy, old backstory. So you would basically promo as, I don't know, the guy I was Mike Awesome, and had Judge Jeff Jones as his manager. I think the name was GWF. I'm sure somebody's heard of it out there. It was around for a very long time, I believe. I ended up winning the United States title there, so that's my claim to fame.
That's cool. So I guess my question, because again, like the love for BTB and even going into e-fetting, was your passion always writing, or was your passion specifically like wrestling storylines, a mixture of both?
Wrestling storylines. Like I said, I was doing BTBs in my notebooks in school before I even know what the hell they were.
Right.
And it was really just dream matches, dream cards, and it snowballed from there to here we are tonight recording a podcast.
I remember when I was in high school and college, I would book out, like I'd either have like a make believe fed with like me and my friends, or I would actually like book out like a WWF, like be the booker type thing, and I would have it in the notebook, and I would have little cards, like I'd have like 4 shows worth of plans out of like who's going to wrestle whom and stuff like that. So I can relate to that, right? I can relate to just like writing in a notebook.
Planning's the best. I always say it. The best part of a BTB, even now I'm figuring out through this eFed, is planning out in advance. I mean, all the ideas you think of, you write them all down when they come to you. That's the fun part, man. It's just thinking of wild shit that you never imagined you would think of. And it's fun to see it all come to fruition after a while. So
right. So in July, you joined the FWA with Chris Crowe. All right. So I'm gonna go through Chris Crowe and his profile page and everything that makes up Chris Crowe, and I'm gonna circle back to July of 2021. So Chris Crowe is a 5-time Carnival champion.
I guess it's Carnival with an E on the end, because I didn't want to be too on the nose with it,
Right. Carnivale.
Yeah, you got Carnival, but however you want to pronounce it's fine with me.
Yeah, Carnival Championship Wrestling World Champion, a 5-time world champion, a 3-time Carnival Championship Wrestling Tag Champion, a 1-time light heavyweight champion, the 2008 Future Immortal Tournament winner, 2008 Rookie of the Year, and the 2010-2011 Most Valuable Wrestler. So first question, is the Carnival Championship Wrestling an actual eFed, or is it just lore backstory that you made up for Chris Crowe?
Carnival Championship Wrestling exists in my head.
Exists in my head. I got you.
Actually, funny story. When I was, trying to figure out a new BTB, because I got tired of the WWF, I was always fascinated with Jake Roberts, Doink the Clown, all the sideshow acts. And I actually put it together. Yeah, I got the Word document. I named it Carnival Championship Wrestling. It was basically all, indie guys like that, all the dark characters and such. So I ran with that when I decided to join the eFed. I figured, why not use it? I wasn't going to use it anywhere else, so might as well.
So is that what inspired you to join? Like you just had this
Oh,
idea,
I
or was
think I
something else?
remember last year at some point, I think Sully reached out to me and wanted to know if I was interested. And obviously I was. I mean, I always say I'm like the 97 Sting. I would sit in the rafters and just read your guys' shows, maybe over a 2 year span.
Right,
So I knew, the big guys and what exactly you had to do.
right.
But I was gun shy, and I was in the thick of things with my BTB. I actually got from 91 all the way up to I'm in January 94 right now. So that's a
Oh,
good 3 years of you know, actually match writing and storylines. I got to see a lot of everything I wanted to play out. And I figured might as well jump in now. So
Yeah. Okay. So this is also from the profile page. The Showman Chris Crowe started off as a prodigy for the local Carnival Championship Wrestling promotion at the young age of 16. By age 18, he was a cornerstone of the company. Women adored him, kids looked up to him, and men lived vicariously through him. As he quickly rose to stardom, Crowe fell back down to a harsh reality when he suffered a horrific torn ACL injury at the age of 20. For the past 9 years, Crowe has attempted to get back into the spotlight, but life has stripped him of all he once was. As he continues to spiral out of control, his 20s have not been kind to him at all and has led him down a very dark and disturbing road. The Showman name comes from Crowe being involved in a traveling carnival company which tours alongside CCW. Ironically, when I originally wrote the Devin Golden character, I never really mentioned this anymore at 12 years later, but I originally had him as recovering from an ACL injury. So I just find that very ironic and kind of
that
interesting.
actually that part's real. I actually really did tear my ACL,
I
and
did too. Yeah, I
yeah,
did too.
it
So
sucks, man.
it
Recovery's a pain in the ass.
is. I did it twice.
Oh man,
The second time partly because I didn't do the physical therapy completely. The
that
first
rehab
time,
was a bitch.
right? Yeah, it's not fun. So how'd you come up with this backstory for Chris Crowe? Because a lot of people, I'm gonna get to this later, but a lot of people don't hash out this massive backstory for their characters. They kind of just let whatever happens in the FWA come to them, not organically. I mean, it is
Yeah.
organically, but you're starting with something. So what led you, like, what is behind that backstory? Like, how did you kind of craft that?
Well, I figured I could go one of two ways with the backstory. I could keep it as generic as possible, or I could give myself something to work with. Seeing that I've never RP'd before, I needed something to carry me through the beginning, and I figured write an elaborate backstory so I could have callbacks, flashbacks, nightmares, all that good shit throughout my promos to the point where I have enough to keep me going for as long as I need to. I could just
Right.
keep layers on top of layers with all the backstory shit I could just add on because it's all in the past.
So you create this character, this antagonist character, Lucian Carnival, I guess the owner of
Lucian.
CC.
I
Lucian
wanted to have it
Carnival.
as close to Lucifer as I possibly could, the devil. So
Lucian Carnival, owner of CCW, and then his son Leo Carnival, who was like a prodigy in and of his own right in the
my foil.
your foil, and then Chris's ex-girlfriend Megan, who's now with Leo. So is kind of creating this world, which is very big in the FWA now, is like kind of world building for everyone's individual characters and
Yeah.
kind of giving them all that context and backstory and making them feel more human. Is that, like, as you build this out, is that kind of what you just talked about, like having these flashbacks that you can lean on
Yeah,
and and this conflict right
I
away?
needed some meat on the bone. I knew if I just came in and generically RP'd, hey, I'm gonna win next week on Meltdown, come check my match out, I wasn't gonna get very far. So I tried to create as an elaborate backstory and separate world as I possibly could. And
Right.
that's what I came up with.
There's a lot of characters who kind of lean on just big events as they occur. I mentioned this before, like my character is like that. Gerald Grayson is like that. Eli Black, even Chris Kennedy, like the actual world champion, is like a lot of his lore is really just based in what has happened since he joined the FWA. Nothing really
Yeah.
from before that. I mean, there's a little bit, but not a lot. That's kind of a playing it safe approach. Then there's what you did, which is like, I'm going to create this world and all this stuff that happened before I ever joined, and I'm going to lean on that to kind of flesh out the character. How much of a balance is it between when you're writing a promo, when you're writing anything related to Crow, between talking about the past versus focusing on the present and the match? Like, how do you balance that? Because it is a fine line.
I try to structure my RPs in a way where I guess you could get the gist of it now. I think I've written 5 or 6. I know you guys have all written about 1,000. So I'm trying not to shoot my load after, a month, of consistent writing. But I try, the first, 1 or 2 parts, I try to keep it, in his world when he's not, outside of FWA. And then I like to end it with, a promo hyping up his next match with all the bells and whistles, all the illusions and all that crazy shit, whatever pops into my head at the time. But no, I like to balance that out to, like I said, add some substance. So it's just not, one promo. So, and, a lot of the stuff that happens outside of FWA, can kind of relate to, how he's doing inside, kayfabe wise, winning and losing, things of that.
How did you create the Crazy Harry character? Like talk me through that, because you have this character, Chris Crowe, who's kind of, enigmatic in his own way, but then you have this even more enigmatic manager character that almost makes Chris look like really tame. By comparison, it was that by design.
No, it was by design. I needed, like I said, Chris talking to himself throughout the entire thing really wouldn't, it'd be boring for you guys to read. It'd be boring for me to write.
Right.
So I needed like a sidekick, somebody that brings out the worst in him, but is there, when he needs them, and, they're best friends. And he's really he's basically Chris turned up to 15, and he's the one that he's like Chris's guiding, he guides him through, and it shows in the results. Like, he put his leg on the rope at the end. He took a spear from Marcus McLean. So, he's his buddy inside and outside of the ring.
So there's gonna be people who are gonna be listening to this who are not gonna get this reference at all, and you may not, but you are a gambler. So Crazy Harry, like you said, he kind of brings out the worst in him. He's not a great influence, but he's loyal to like he's extremely loyal. And I immediately it popped into my head. If you've ever seen Rounders, the Matt Damon movie where he plays cards, you ever seen this movie? No,
I've heard of it. My friends talk about it every time we play cards, but I'm sorry, I have not seen it.
I recommend it. Anyway, long story short, since you didn't get it, Matt Damon's best friend, played by Edward Norton, is basically Crazy Harry to him. Like, that's the exact same relationship. If you watch Rounders, if you watch Rounders, you'd get it. But anyway, so jumping off of that, at some point, the Lucien, did I say it right? Lucien, however you want to say it. The Lucien angle will end. The Leo angle will end. The Megan stuff will end. I imagine, at least the Lucien angle will end. When this happens, and you're essentially going to, like, I mean, everyone's character, I always say, it's like it's a book, and there's different chapters of the story, and even sub-chapters of chapters. You're going to go to chapter 2. Do you anticipate going further, maybe into another aspect of the backstory of Chris's past, or are you going to focus on more FWA related stuff?
Definitely have more planned. As you know, in this fucked up Chris Crowe world, I guess nobody ever really dies. So Lucien, although I don't know if, how many people read my promo for the last meltdown, but it ends with Crowe and Crazy Harry praying to this higher power, the ghosts of all souls past.
Right.
And they basically blow up the forest and set them free. Well, obviously it can't end there. I mean, that's, it's not a movie, and that's not the last scene.
Right.
So Lucien, I guess, is going to probably come back to haunt Chris in some sort of capacity down the line. He could still even be alive for all we know. I haven't really gotten into the depth of what I'm going to do next in terms of that, but never say never in Chris Crowe's crazy world he's got going on.
when you joined the FWA, and again, you had been kind of reading and watching and kind of building, I guess, this idea that you had. What was your goal? Like, was it? And people have different goals, and people have multiple goals. But like for some, it's to win. For some, it's just to have fun. For some, it's to improve as a writer. For some, it's just to put an idea that you have in your head, like pen to paper, and just kind of like outlet of that idea. What was your goal initially, and has that goal changed in the 3 to 4 months since you joined and got more immersed in the community?
The initial goal was just really to give myself a new challenge. Like I said, I was a BTB guy for shit since 2016. I tried to be one. I took 2 years off to really try to figure out exactly how to write a BTB, and I basically accomplished all that I could there. I have 4 BTB of the month, a couple year-end awards, and the BTB Legend in 2020. So really, once I got that award, I really started reevaluating. I was getting stale. I needed something new. And that's why I figured, well, I loved writing Jake Roberts promos. I might as well take that character and, turn it into Chris Crowe, basically. So really, it was just a new challenge. And and winning is always fun. I'm a competitive person, so I'm always trying to, do my best and win. But just creating new shit, new content and making new friends, all new people. I've always known by reading, their posts. I never actually got to know them. And now, I'm becoming good friends with a lot of you guys. So, man, it all worked out.
You mentioned that when you first joined, when you started doing BTBs, it was the wrestling storylines, and again, it was kind of similar for me. And it's the Chris Crowe character. It kind of comes from that wrestling storyline and just the BTB side, and Jake Roberts. Like you said, you enjoyed writing promos for Jake Roberts. Let me turn that into an EFED character, and I can very much see the resemblances. Have you grown in like a love for just like writing stories in general? Because like I can see like it's like you're writing a story that's a wrestling character's promo, but it's not what you would see in like a 1994 WWF promo. Like it's more of like a fiction. I'm fleshing this out. It's more of like, it's non-wrestling events are happening here. Do you enjoy that aspect, even though it kind of goes outside of like the traditional wrestling promo? Like, do you just like creative writing? Is basically what I'm asking.
Oh, I love it, man. I guess you have more creative freedom with your own character, opposed to writing, bits and pieces of promos for, 10, 11 guys at a time in a BTB. You don't really get to get behind them, to the point where you're like, oh, I want this guy to win. I like, he's got good shit right now. So I think, and tell you the truth, it's really, I got to start watching more TV so I can get some more ideas, because, I'm more of a wrestling guy, sports guy, and, you can't really get too many storyline ideas watching Monday Night Football.
Right.
So,
you've been in for 3 to 4 months, gotten the feel of what it's like to be in the FWA. Whenever I first joined, was doing basically BTB for like about a year or so. So I kind of have a very similar pathway to joining the FWA as you did. This was like 12, 13 years ago, but it's similar. I see a lot of similarities. And one of the things that I wanted to win, and, I saw a pathway for my character. I kind of was like, I'm going to win this title. I'm going to, it's just kind of, I saw it in a wrestling mindset. But one of the things that kind of sold me and got me in love with it was the collaboration and the writing, like these really kind of implementing these really creative wrestling storylines with my character on the show itself, and then collaborating with people on these angles. And that's kind of what really kind of hooked me to it. Is that something that you're looking forward to, and you're kind of starting to see Chris Crowe get into something with, with Captain Fantasy and now Tommy Bedlam and whatnot? Like there's seeds being planted there. Is that also kind of raising more excitement and kind of leveling it up?
Oh yeah, I'm pumped. The best way to put it is I'm pumped. I see it, as like a lot, as like a wrestling locker room. You want to be respectful to everybody and, make new friends, and, whatever the booker tells you to do, you're going to do. So
right.
I'm not as, I guess, invested in the results as I should be right now, because I'm more of still trying to shape my character. But I'd love to get into a storyline, and start writing segments, even matches down the line. I know Chris Crowe could have some crazy death matches with a lot of guys on Meltdown, even Fallout. And I think it'd be a lot of fun to have some sort of like long storyline with all the twists and turns, planting the subtle seeds, all that good shit. I'm really looking forward to that.
I'm glad to hear that you're not like as invested in the results right off the bat, because a lot of people do get very invested in the results and then they don't get they don't win within 5 matches and then they leave, right? So it's good to hear that you're letting it kind of simmer a little bit and kind of you're not throwing stuff at the wall, but you're being creative and you're being experimental and you're kind of trying to figure out this character and your style. And I already think you have a pretty unique writing style in general that I think is like, I could probably tell your promo from a crowd of them without knowing it's your name. So I think that's already a huge plus.
That's pretty cool. Thank you for that.
For sure. And I just think that it's a good thing that you're still like, you're not super focused on the wins and losses right now. You're just trying to kind of get your footing. And I already think you have a really good, strong foundation for it. And we're going to get to this, but Chris Crowe got over really quickly with people.
That's what I've heard.
Right. So we're going to do a little bit of rapid fire thing, and then we're going to come back around and circle back around to that to kind of close out here. Cool. Who are some writers and characters you've enjoyed or taken note of since starting? I know you've only been here for 3 or 4 months, and you can't say me and you can't say my character. It's kind of a rule.
Well, to be honest with you, I just, when I know the promos are going up, I kind of clear my night and I just get immersed in all of them. Chris Kennedy's promos are amazing. And like I said before, you guys have obviously been doing this a lot longer than me. And the fact that you have the motor to move forward with these massive writing pieces after, 4 or 5, in your case, 12, 13 years, it's fucking remarkable. I mean, I don't know how the hell you guys do it. And then you got the guys that, on top of putting out these awesome pieces of writing, go on and make BTBs in their spare time. So, I mean, you guys are machines. I knew you guys were legit before I joined. Like I said, I followed you, but, now being in it, I mean, like SS, guys like that, they're awesome. And John right now is killing it. I don't understand how he writes, a Captain Fantasy promo and then goes on and writes something else on Fallout for his other character. It's truly remarkable to me. I mean, not even just the free time, just having the mental, the brain juice to think of all those ideas and get them, down and out instead of just stuck in your head all day.
Yeah, John is a machine. He's a creative. Like the podcast often turn into just kind of giving John a lot of praise.
It's crazy, man. Because I was following him for a while on BTBs because I know he did that forever. And then after a while, he stopped, posting. I mean, where the hell did this guy go? And then, I started looking after, oh, there he is. So I started following his shit. And Man is another one on Fallout. I followed his BTB, his Ric Flair BTB for a while, and that was awesome. So, and I didn't know where he went. So I found him on FWA. I was like, oh, this is where all these guys go. I'm going to give this a try. So really, that was motivation. I think SS even had a TNA BTB. I think it was last year, 2005, one of my all-time favorite time periods, and it was just fascinating shit. So I'll be humble and say I look up to all those guys because you guys know how to do it.
Is there a storyline, feud, match, promo, whatever the case may, could be anything, that you noted from someone or a group of people that you enjoyed for whatever reason? And
match wise, I would say the barbed wire match at Lights Out. That was awesome. That whole storyline was awesome. That's just the uniqueness of an E-Fed where you get this woman character going through barbed wire doing all this crazy shit, and it's believable because SS is that type of writer that you believe it. You think it's Sabu in the ring for a barbed wire match. So promo wise, like I said, I love all of Chris Kennedy's shit. Cyrus Truth is another good one that I like reading. I always look out for those. And no, really, like I said, everybody, it's an awesome community, and I'm really happy that I stumbled upon it and trying to get myself, a little more involved each week.
Is there a writer or a character that you've read and you've said, you know what, I can implement, like, everyone has their own styles, right? And
Yes.
everyone has their own characters that kind of stand in their own kind of world, and they have their own world building, and they just kind of, they feel like their own entity. But everyone, of course, it pulls from somewhere and is influenced by somebody. Is there someone, character, writer, a promo that you've read where you're like, I can use some of these things for Chris Crowe? Because you can't do that for every promo that you read, even if you like the promo. You can't say, all right, you can't read a Devin Golden promo and say, I'm going to use something from that promo, even though you might have liked it. Is there a promo that you've said, I can use this for Chris Crowe? This fits with what I kind of am going for.
To be honest, I take bits and parts of everybody's work. Like you said, I have, I guess, my own unique style. So I'm not really looking for a blueprint. I'm just looking for, like, maybe an idea, if that makes sense. More like something that'll spring my mind to say, all right, well, this is how I'm going to take my guy. But really, I map my promos out. I write out like a rough draft sort of thing. And then I'll go and read some, whatever event is on that week. And I'll just keep, I guess the key is just keep reading. And I implement a little bit of everything from a lot of guys, but like you said, I try to keep my own unique style so I stand out. And people know that, I try to be as legit as possible.
Again, I don't think that you're necessarily pulling from him, but I think it's interesting that y'all both originally were BTBers. I can see some of, like, Man's character Chris Peacock on Fallout. I can, the way that it's kind of mapped out and the way the promo kind of flows and just kind of the vibe of it, is not super far off from how you write Chris Crowe. So Chris
Definitely.
Peacock, Chris Crowe is at least in the same ballpark for me. And Man's a great writer. And again, y'all both are BTBers originally, so maybe there's
tremendous writer.
Something to that. What do you enjoy most about the FWA?
The community. I don't really, like I said, I'm a shy guy, and I'm also shy online, if that could be a possible thing. And I just love, after practice, I just go on and there's like 75 messages of you guys just all fucking around in the chat room, and it's just fucking hilarious to me, some of the shit that goes on in there.
What would you change if there is anything? And most people are like, I wouldn't change anything. I think Smooth Jazz Wolf and Roar said that last time, that they wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
It could be anything. It could be the slightest thing. It could be the biggest thing, whatever. What would you change if you could?
I think I might have to take their route. I mean, I'm kind of still a newer guy, so I don't, everything's ran as smooth as possible since I've, joined. Right. I don't know if that's always been the case or not, but really, we got a nice, well-oiled machine right now on both sides, Meltdown and Fallout, and there's really nothing I would change right now. I just keep the ball rolling. Let's keep it going.
Do you prefer one of the brands over the other? And I one of you'll probably get added in Discord by whatever mods you don't choose.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if you read the shows. I didn't know if you had a preference in terms of whether maybe it's the promos you read. You think there's one that kind of stands out for you. Fallout has been
legit.
The first stretch. Legit. Yeah, I think most people would probably vote Fallout for the first stretch here.
Yeah.
But you are on Meltdown, so I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of personal affinity there. Do you have a preference?
Well, I'm guessing that Meltdown will always be my home since it's my first show ever writing. So
right.
I guess it has a special spot for me. But the Fallout guys, I know a couple times I've read it. You compare, some writers to the SmackDown 6 of 2002,
right?
Where it's one after another. I mean, the competition is incredible, and each match can go either way because both guys are writing masterpieces. And I always say it must suck to be a grader because some of those promos, they're flawless. You can nitpick here and there, but for the most part, they get the story across and the character development, all that stuff. It really shines through.
So people, me included, have said that they really enjoy the Chris Crowe character this far. I mean, like I was like third match in, I was like, this, there's something here that is really standing apart. And there's a lot of momentum for him. I mean, the fact that you got a North American title shot is proof of that.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all, to be honest with you.
and there's a lot of heavy hype right now. When you hear this, when you read this, whatever, what is your reaction?
I just have to
after a small amount of time. Yeah,
I have to keep it up, and I obviously haven't reached my potential yet, but I'm just happy that people are reading my stuff and they clung on to the character already. And I put a lot of pressure on myself, but it's good pressure. It's game time, crunch time. 2-minute offense. Let's get the ball going and let's see what I could come up with next. This time of the year, Halloween, perfect for my character.
Right. It
really everywhere I look, there's an idea right now, and I love it, man. I love everything about it.
It really is. I have 2 more questions for you. They're both kind of quick. One, you've done I've done this again. You do this for as long as me, and you get to a point at times where you're like, man, I'm sitting down at a pro. I'm like, I don't want to do it. And it's just kind of like, you got to start it to kind of get flowing, but it's like starting is the toughest part. Is that how it is for you? Or do you get are you giddy to start?
Oh, well, to begin with, I was all about it. And then, once football season hit, I was tired coming home. I didn't really have much brain juice left after using it all day, trying to create plays and making sure we don't, go 0-10.
Right.
But,
right.
And really, it's crazy. I added on to that CCW world, but in a fictional way. And I created a whole bunch of fictional guys within the company. I wrote a couple backstories for a few, and that's how I came up with the Leo Carnival character. And that all came from one of the promos. Crow had a flashback, and I couldn't think of a name for the guy that he was going to beat. And I came up with Billy the Killer, something real stupid you would see on like an independent show in front of like 12 guys, So I'm thinking I got to have guys with some substance on them, so I can intertwine them into the promos too, old friends, or, in Leo case, his foil, he stole his girlfriend, took his title, all that shit. That I got the document up right now. I've been adding to it to try to figure out some new guys to add to the world.
At some point, you may want to pull one of those in and actually compete with them.
And I have 1 or 2 in mind. When I get to that, once football ends, I'll have a lot of free time to write. I already have plans for a character. Will ever see the light of day? I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun with this guy right now, Crow.
Right.
And on top of that, in my spare time, which actually keeps me going, writing promo-wise, I'm still planning BTBs, and off in the distance.
Right.
That's it's my home, BTB. Right. So I always have a special place in my heart, and those guys are all, they became my friends. In real life, I talk to them sometimes more than I talk to my real friends.
Right.
So I'll always have something cooking. It's just the motivation to post it and get the ball rolling on that. But I'm having fun in FWA right now. So
the WCW 2000 BTB.
Oh God!
I don't think it got off.
Remind me of it.
I don't think it got off the ground. WCW 2000 BTBs are like.
It was a crash and burn from the start. but
I mean, it's a dime a dozen for WCW 2000. That's a very popular.
Oh, it's a
one
very
to try and rewrite, right? Like in a BTB style, and it's one of my favorites. I mean, if I was to do a BTB, I would probably choose WCW 2000 as well.
There's so much there, it's just.
So I guess my question is, do you hope one day to go back to that and resurface it, or are you just like, I'm just gonna let that thing die?
Actually, all of last winter, we were still kind of locked down. I wasn't, I don't go out as it is, but I really wasn't going out. There was really nothing going on. And I started making graphics for it again, actually, the WCW 2000. I looked back and I said, there's something there. And the whole basis was going to be, ECW was in financial ruins. and they were Paul Heyman's the master, Carney, Showman. So he was going to wiggle his way into WCW. And I had a whole storyline, planned out. ECW guys invade, the big War Games match at the end. And it would be a lot of fun, but it's one of those where you get to the Nitro and you're writing Chavo Guerrero versus Lash LaRue, and you're like, fuck this. I'm not doing this anymore.
Right. Yeah, you have this plan, this big plan mapped out, and then you have to like actually go through like all the little corners of the
I'm ready for War Games, but let me finish this Hugh Morris for Shane Douglas match first. I think I'll pass.
BattleTank, this was fun, man. I appreciate doing this, and this was all right. So it's a record. And we started this later, and we kind of talked about how this might be, kind of quicker. And you've only been in the FWA for a few months, but This was one of the most efficient podcasts. This is probably the most efficient podcast I've ever done. And I say that as a positive. This was a great podcast. And like I said before, Chris Crowe has got a lot of momentum. He's really over really, really quickly.
Yeah, he's already doing radio shows. He's only been in the company 4 months. So
right. That's a testament to you. That's a testament to your writing style and whatever sometimes it's almost tough to explain. Like you just like, I can't really describe it. That there's something there. It's an X factor. It's an it. And that's what I'm going to say for you. Like whatever you've been doing, like just it's working, whatever it is, quote unquote, whatever it is, it's working. So, yeah,
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Everyone's enjoying Crow, and we're also happy to have you in the FWA because we always like new people and having people from BTB with that kind of the writing chops and kind of the creative mindset. That has only been a positive and it's only worked out for us. So really happy that you decided to dip your toes in the water and join in.
I'm definitely glad to be here, and I'll be around for a while. Like I said, I like the new challenge, and it's different. It's not the same writing over and over again. Getting to a WrestleMania. Okay, now WrestleMania is over. Let me play into WrestleMania 9 now. It's different, and I like it a lot. So I'm happy to be here.
Last question for you. Sorry, I'm gonna pull a detour. I'm already scrapped my most efficient podcast. I've lost it completely.
Detour away, brother. I said I don't go to bed till 2:30, so I'm here all night.
Do you enjoy? Because you're as a BTBer, your hands on the steering wheel so hard. I mean, you're the only person in charge, right? So your hand is on that steering wheel the whole time.
You're Vince McMahon in a nutshell.
Vince McMahon. You're in the FWA. And there's people who are bookers and mods, but from the FWA side, you're joining in, your hand is off the steering wheel almost entirely. Do you like that? Is it nice to sit back and be like, I'm just going to watch as a fan?
I love it.
Okay.
I love it because it takes a lot of the overthinking out of the way. It's to the point where if I say something in a promo and then, if I were to book it and it didn't come through, I would take it personally and say, man, I did a shit job of getting this guy over. And really I just write and sit back, and like I said, the results, I'm a competitive guy. I like to win, but it's not going to deter me that I lost on Meltdowns. It's an honor just to get a main event match. So, and I had a fun promo. John's promo was awesome, out of the box and unique, and I'm fine with sitting. I could job out the rest of my time as long as I'm writing fun shit and reading other guys being involved in the community. I'm perfectly cool with it.
Well, I don't know if this is going to make you feel good or bad or indifferent, but maybe John has already told you this, but it was really, really, really close.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I asked him last night. I said, I just want to know if I'm in the ballpark of you quite as soon as I am, and he told me it was only a few points here and there. It was very close though. I mean that's a win to me. That's more than a win. I
will tell you, I had you winning.
Yeah, well, thank you.
and I was not the only grader who had you winning, so that's how close it was. I mean, it was one of those 3-2 type of situations.
Yeah, just to be. I told him I just wanted to keep it competitive. So, I didn't make an ass out of myself. Those guys put a lot of faith in me, putting me in the main event. I had to deliver. So I'm glad that I was, within a few points of winning. So,
well, I will
good
say
to build on.
The best character development always comes after a loss.
Oh, 100. Chris Crowe's downfall will be my favorite piece of writing ever when that time comes.
Right.
So I'm hoping to get the wins out of the way now. So I got more substance to write when he loses. He drowns his sorrows and ends up, with a blind acrobat in the car. So that's what I'm hoping for again sometime soon.
BattleTank, man, I appreciate it. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for taking time out of your Tuesday night. We're happy to have you.
Hey, anytime, brother. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, everyone who's been listening, thank you for listening to the Untitled FWA Pod. This is TGO, and I believe this is episode 8 or 9. The next one is coming around the pipe. I cannot give you exact time because, again, 5-month-old daughter, but hopefully we can knock these out and get more people on the podcast. And I really do appreciate BattleTank for doing it. And yeah, thanks for listening, guys.